Bhanu, good morning.
Good morning and good afternoon to you.
How are you, buddy?
I'm doing very well.
Good to see you.
You
How
know,
are Eva?
it's a holiday. It's Thanksgiving today, so we're relaxed.
So thank you for giving us your time and happy
Absolutely.
holidays. For us, it's a regular grinding day. How are your dear Eva and Emily?
Eva and Emily are doing very well. They had a lovely week as well. It's a short week, and Emily's playing right now.
Nice. So you're in Texas today?
I am in Texas.
Good. I see the sun shining. So
Yeah,
thank
it's
you for giving
beautiful
us.
day outside.
Awesome. So I'm super excited to have you here. We've been
Of course.
friends for quite some time. Shared a passion for wristwatches, for
Absolutely.
collecting. Pilot, you're more pilot watches than me.
I
Uh,
I am a pilot watch freak. I love pilot
you are.
watches.
You are. We're definitely going to talk about that today. Um, our format is that we do a quick intro, we do a wrist check, the 7 DACs questions, and then we do a deep dive. Would you mind doing a short intro about
Absolutely. So I will do a short intro to the watchmaking world for me. I discovered watchmaking through as a child I always loved watches. My dad used to receive a lot of watches when he traveled outside. He would be he would bring back watches, so I was exposed to them since then. And of course, as growing up in the 80s, you always had the Casio, watches that we all collected as kids. And then I would say as an adult, I was in late 90s, discovered What You Seek, Ernie Romer, who you had on recently.
yeah,
And
Army?
the rest was history. Since then, I started getting into it. Met Ernie in the early 2000s. Met one of the German moderator, Mike Stufler, and then we became good friends. And then I started writing. That was my passion. And
Amazing,
since 2005, I've been writing.
amazing. So you said when your dad got out, you are born and raised in India, right?
I was born and raised in New Delhi, yeah, and then I moved in my teenage years to US.
So how was that when you were growing up in India? So you said your dad went out. You mean when he traveled for business and stuff?
Yes, when you travel for
And
business.
he was crazy about watches, and he would bring you. I know you have a brother as well, so an
Yes.
amazing guy,
You
almost as
know,
handsome as you.
absolutely. My brother gets to keep his collection.
So that's amazing. And then what was popular back then when you grew up? Did you get the passions for pilot watches from your dad, or
Omega, Accutron, Bulova, the Space View watch. But I remember my dad used to wear those quite a lot. That was 70s. That was popular. It was more not as much mechanical. I would say it's more. It was a quartz time in
yeah,
the 70s and 80s.
yeah, yeah, amazing. Okay, awesome. So we're definitely gonna go back to how you got into watches and why pilot and why German watches.
Okay.
Shall we now do a quick wrist check?
Absolutely.
What are you wearing today?
So it's a special day, Thanksgiving. So it has to be two wrists.
Yeah,
On here is the Kudoke. It's a concept Flieger
yeah,
from Kudoke.
yeah.
Stefan and Eve Kudoke. I recently got to see them in Dresden, and I will tell you a cool story about that as well. Um, it, it was almost a thing that didn't happen. That happened, and you could actually read about it. That I wrote on Quill Pad. Uh,
I read the article on Sunday, so amazing thing. Maybe Dala can pull up the article on Quill and Pad. Uh,
and when Dal pulls it up, I will tell you the fun story about this. The background was originally Eva and Emily were supposed to go with me to Dresden to pick this up with me
yeah,
in September, but she wasn't feeling well, so I took a train to Dresden. And in COVID times, there's obviously in trains are it was empty. There was
yeah,
nobody in there.
yeah.
So I sat there, I had my headphones on, I was listening to music. The train station arrived. I just got up and left.
Yeah.
And so after we met in the restaurant, I was looking for my disinfectant wipes, and I was looking in my backpack. I was like, well, you know what? I don't think my passport was in that same pocket. Where is my passport? Well, I had taken it out on the train to show to the authorities, but obviously nobody came to check anything, and I left it in the front seat pocket. And that train was going to Berlin and then on to Hamburg. So let's just say it took a few phone calls with even Stefan helping me out, and I had to then make my way to Berlin and then make it back to Prague by midnight.
Phew. That's quite a journey.
And next day we were flying back to US, so it's good that I was able to make it in time.
Yeah, amazing. And it's actually an amazing story how you bought this watch, because actually your buddy pulled the trigger on it.
That's right. He pulled the trigger.
Pick up the watch, and then it became yours.
Absolutely. It was great.
Yeah, awesome. So it's an amazing watch. And we'll talk a bit more about Kudoki and your buddy.
Absolutely.
What's the other wrist?
The other wrist is a Tutima automatic. It's the green dial.
Also Glashutte.
Also nice. I got to visit them in Glashutte as well in September, and there's a surprise thing coming out. We're doing a Flieger Friday edition. As you know, I love Flieger Fridays.
Amazing.
So we're going to do a Flieger Friday edition next week.
Amazing. For those that are watching and those that speak obviously German and Dutch understand what Flieger means, because in Dutch it's also Flieger.
Yeah.
It means pilot in German. And so pilot watches are always dubbed or nicknamed Flieger watches. So that's where the name comes from. FliegerFriday.com is yours. It's your blog, right? So amazing that he's doing a collab with you. And I actually wanted to ask you why Tutima is so popular in the US. So
absolutely, I think Tutima is popular in the US because they've had the continuity of the gentleman called Gustavo. He heads the Tutima, as you know. He's the Tutima president for Tutima USA.
Yeah.
And he's been managing it since the 80s. I believe it's been there since 85. So he has the history since then with the Tutima Glashutte, and before that it was not in Glashutte, but so continuity has maintained all the marketing.
Amazing. So and that's something that one of the reasons we do the Ace List Live is to share our passion, our knowledge, and have some fun. Is Glashutte is one of the most confusing thing for consumers and watch collectors, because a lot of brands use it in their logo, right? Or they use it under their own brand name. And there's one brand that actually, it is their brand name, Glashutte Original, owned by the Swatch Group, which is also very confusing. So for those that don't know, Glashutte is a watchmaker's town. It's a small town in the eastern part of Germany, near Dresden, on the way to Berlin. And so whenever Swiss brands write Geneva on their dial, that's what Glashutte is. So for those that don't know, and it's
Glashutte, just to complete the story about Glashutte, that it has a similar, a long history, similar to Swiss watchmaking. Yeah. It's just it got disrupted when the wars happened. A lot of things got destroyed. The Swiss were lucky; nothing happened. Yeah. But a lot of it was rebuilt in the 90s after the Berlin Wall came down. I think that's when a lot of the brands started coming back to Glashutte, and everything continued. Yeah. And of course, Glashutte has the two distinction. If you look at the movement, it's 3/4 plates. That's important. Yeah. And the second one is that the 60% of the labor or materials have to be, combination of the two have to be made in Glashutte for it to be considered made in Glashutte.
Yeah. So we call it the watchmaking mecca of Germany. Very old history, as Bhanu is saying. They have two very distinctive signatures, which is the base plate where movement is built on. It's 3/4. That's very signature for Glashutte. The term German silver comes actually a bit from that region.
Correct.
The term German silver, and the hand engraving, which you see with Lange, Nomos. Maybe you can tell me other brands that are doing it. So very interesting. And we're going to talk a lot about German watchmaking, about piloted watches. So I racked my brain what to wear, not because it's Thanksgiving, but I also put 2 watches on.
Yes.
Which I often do. Obviously, I had to put a pilot's watch on. And
That's
I've
nice.
chosen from my private collection a Hamilton Khaki H31, which was gifted to me by the previous CEO, Sylvain Dola. So that's a dear watch to me, and I love the satin finish on it.
I love the khaki pilots. They're very cool watches.
Amazing value for money, and actually their most plain one, the Keiki Field hand wound, which I think is one of the best buys you can get if you want to get into pilot watches.
Absolutely.
So I love those. And since you're in America, I had to choose an American brand. And I obviously put on a Nomos, and I had to select a Ace limited edition. And I chose the Weltzeit, the Zurich Weltzeit.
Wow.
Because we're doing an intercontinental call. So
by the way, I must mention that Alon, that recently you had announced Nomis for Life collaboration for Nomos, and I really regretted it. That watch, the limited edition, was just fantastic.
Thank you.
I must say it's one of the best watches I've seen. I don't know, Dali, if you can pull it up, but really hit the right notes for limited edition for the Nomos Club.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was very well received. Also, thank to you. You hooked us up to some American collectors. So thank you for that. And we were very fortunate. It sold out within 24 hours. So we were overwhelmed by the success and very humbled.
Fantastic watch.
Yeah. Thank you. So that's it for the wrist check. Let's dive into the 7 ace list questions because we have a lot to talk and I want to keep it under 1 hour. And I assume the viewers have some questions as well because I see some questions pouring in. First question, Bhanu. What watch or jewel is your favorite and why?
Well, this is easy. It's not a specific watch. You know, I love pilot watches. So Flieger watches is the genre that I call it. And it's a pretty broad genre. You know, normally the watches you can see Kodoke and both Totima, not typical pilot watches, but they are a genre of Flieger watches. So I love pilot watches.
And I know you definitely don't stick to pilot only because you have a very vast and wide collection, and I had the honor to see quite some pieces of it. How much % of your collection is actually a Flieger watch?
On
average?
Not majority of it.
Not the majority of it.
No, not a majority of it. It is quite a bit of Flieger watches, but I would say I do enjoy other watches as well. And it depends on the design of the watch. I think for me, the design, the construction of the watch is the ultimate feature that I enjoy. You know, when you're scrolling up to, let's say, going to the Bulgari Octo, for example, me, the most striking thing about was, and you know, I'm a big fan of the Fabrizio, and you had him on there twice, and I watched both times. A really great mind, and you know, his design is just fantastic. I really admire that.
So Dal is showing your Instagram account. The handle is analog display, right?
Yes, it is.
So for everyone on Instagram, check out Bhanu online. She has nice pics. You are like me. Besides the pilots and maybe Jeremy's team, you're all over the place with collecting, like me, right? So
what I love.
Do you have a strategy, or do you just buy whatever hits your screen and makes your heart tick faster? Or
I think my heart goes faster than my brain, so that's why I end up with a lot of watches. If I like it, I buy it.
Amazing. All right, let's go to the next question. What did you want to be when you grew up?
You know, as I enjoyed when I was growing up in my school in India. I think I sat always in the back of the class, and I was always doodling. I was drawing robots. It was my dream to just engineer robots. But of course, I lived in a different way. but that was what I wanted to do as a kid.
Yeah. Amazing. So you're actually very modest because you don't brag. You're always friendly, always smiley, always cheerful. What people don't know, we presented you as a collector and blogger, which other people do full time, but you actually do it as a side gig and a hobby. Please share what you do in during your daytime, because you have a young family, young kids, you actually have a day job, and then you write good stuff. And I had the honor to write some columns, but it's very difficult for me to write, and it really takes a lot of effort. And it seems you do it effortlessly. So what do you do on your day job?
So I work in a semiconductor industry, and so I've been I do work in IT, and not as an engineer, but yeah, I've been in the industry for a very long time. And
so actually creating robots.
Yes, you could say that. We make the machines that make the robots. Yes.
Yeah. So in the end, you became what you wanted to.
That's
to
true.
be when you grew up. Thank you for sharing, Bhanu. When did you come to the US?
So I came in the 80s.
How old were you?
I was 18.
Always Texas?
No, I grew up in Arizona. So I think I would call Arizona my home since...
where your brother is, right? He's in Arizona.
He's in Arizona, exactly. Yeah. He's been there since 1990. No, 89, and I went there in 1990.
Cool.
Yeah.
Amazing. Third question: who is or was your role model?
I would say role model, since you mentioned my brother. For my personal life, it's my brother and my wife, Eva. So I always learn from them. He's like my guardian, and my brother Jay. And then I have professional life, and then, like you said, I have my day job, and then I have passionate about watchmaking. I would say for when it comes to writing, I definitely admire Elizabeth Dorr. That's why I wanted to work at Quill Pad. I admire also Veiko from Revolution, who you know very well. I think both of them are able to break down complex writing into storytelling, where you don't have to even be a watch nerd or watch fan to understand complex things in a very simple way.
Yeah. Elizabeth is the queen in watchmaking journalism. I think she was the first that did high, complex material.
Yes.
Of products, and also translating it to writing. So I looked up to her. People think that Veiko is a clown in his behavior, but his knowledge goes very deep.
He's a genius, yeah.
He's a genius, and I love the way he writes, because I love the American style. I also lived in the US, and obviously he did as well. And the newest kid on the block, which I love, is SJX.
Absolutely.
Who does the intellectual writing and the very technical stuff. So I share your opinion on that.
I completely agree with you on SJX. He's pretty amazing writer. So he's an avid collector, a really impressive collection. Similar to
also very modest, which I love.
Yeah.
He's actually so modest that he was honored that we asked him to be on the Aces Live, and he turned us down because he doesn't want to be in the spotlight. But we're going to nudge him a bit more for season 2 next year.
I think that would be great. I would love to see that.
Fourth question, Bhanu. If you could teleport tomorrow, where would you go?
I'm not an exotic type of person who would think about going to some Bora Bora or some place in the moon. I love Arizona and I love Prague because of two connections.
Yeah.
And I would be happy to spend the rest of my life between these two places.
Yeah. So for the viewers, Eva, his dear wife, is Czech. So that's your second home, basically. You guys are at least once a year in Prague, right?
More. I would say sometimes more.
Yeah. So you're often in Europe, and that's also why you're physically close to Germany often. So
it's a 45 minutes drive to Dresden.
Yeah. So amazing.
To Glashutte.
Amazing. So that's fun. And Arizona is obviously because you grew up there and your family's still there.
Yeah, family's still there.
Real family guy. Fifth question. Are you reading a book currently? If so, which one, or which one stood out that you read recently?
So I do enjoy reading books when I'm traveling, but with a baby now, it's a little bit difficult. But recently, I received a book for review. It was the Accutron from Bulova, written by Jack Forster from Hodinkee,
Okay,
another
cool.
person I admire. I think he's a great technical writer.
Yeah, he's going to be on the show, by the way.
That's fantastic. Jack is a brilliant guy when it comes to technical knowledge, and this book was actually really well written because I enjoyed the book. My dad, I told you, mentioned that he used to wear a Space View. It's sitting somewhere. That watch is sitting somewhere in Arizona in my brother's locker, and I really admired that watch. If you think about the technology. It was different than quartz. It was the tuning fork movement, a brilliant, just a brilliant.
So let's talk about the Accutron, because the Citizen Group now made it a separate brand, right? They launched it in the US.
Yeah.
I saw I believe there are 2 or 3 new models, which are amazing.
They look pretty amazing. Yes, the pricing is pretty high. You could get a vintage one for a lot lower for the Space View, but I think they're taking this to a different level of watchmaking, at least from the electronics part.
Yeah. So I actually never owned one, but as a kid, I always admired it. It's kind of skeletonized, and
exactly.
Because how old are you, Bhanu?
So I just had a big milestone. I just turned 50 this month.
50, man. You look younger than me. So I'm a bit younger than you, and you came up in the 70s, 80s. I lagged a bit behind you, but yeah, we both came up in the quartz era. Amazing.
Yeah.
Sixth question. What do you think is going to be the color of 2021?
So 2021, I know we have done the blue, we have done the red, we have done the green. I know there's some Pantone color every year that's followed there, and it's I think 2021 was like aqua color Pantone. But I would say because Emily is here with me, her favorite color is yellow. She loves wearing yellow clothes, bright yellow colors in sunshine. So what I would like to see is I love blue and gray colors. Those are my favorite. I would love to see some more gray dials coming out, but with a splash of yellow.
Well, actually, your wish is coming true, right? We saw Breitling does a lot of yellow nowadays.
Yeah.
Rolex brought back the yellow dial, the Stella dials. So, what is your point of view on that? Do you love those?
So I do
love dials.
I love the Stella dials that Rolex has done with the Oyster Perpetual. I like the 36 millimeters. I think 41 was a little bit too big. I own a 39. I think 39 is just the perfect size for most of the people for Rolex.
I agree.
And I would say the hard part for me for this dial is getting used to the double hashtags. The double hashes in the dial. I'm still getting used to it. It's just a matter of getting used to it. You're used to seeing just a single.
Yeah, I guess so. You're right. Okay, awesome. Last question. Have you been to Amsterdam before? And if so, what's your favorite memory?
It was so Evan and I were celebrating 10 years since we met in 2018, and so we decided, we always stop in London or we stop in Frankfurt, and we take our Black Forest tour. Let's stop this time to Amsterdam. And certain tour guide told us some good places to visit. So thank you very much for the recommendations. One of the best memory was right outside the Van Gogh Museum. There's a small cafe where we sat down. We had for brunch, we had some champagne. Then we walked over to the museum and we were looking at the different paintings. By the way, one of my favorite ones was the Flying Fox by Van Gogh. And I had hoped for my 50th that I would put the Flying Fox tattoo on my back.
Really?
I took a picture of it. I even pulled up a nice picture of it that I would put that as a cool tattoo on the back. But of course, COVID happened and nothing else. That's the Flying Fox, yeah. and really amazing work by one of the greatest artists. And then after we,
that you and what pulls you so much to that painting, because it's an underappreciated painting.
it is underappreciated. I think that's
it is from his early days that he was dark when he moved south of Holland to France and stuff.
Bright colors, everything. Yeah.
So why do you like bats?
It's raw. It's something he genuinely felt. It's not, it's not pretentious. It's not something. Doesn't have to be always happy and cheerful, and anybody could have done that. But this is perfect.
Interesting, amazing. So thank you for sharing, and it was great seeing you guys in Amsterdam.
So after we visited the museum, we decided, okay, why don't we continue on? And just a few steps from the museum is your boutique. So we came to visit you, and we talked about family. We had more champagne, and then we decided, to celebrate our 10 years, let's make it a Bulgari affair. The rest is history.
So thank you for that. Thank you for the trust. Thank you for the visit. It's never up to me to talk about customers, so it's at their own discretion if they want to tell stuff.
No, I think
that was an amazing trip.
Eva loves wearing her Bulgari serpentine. I think it's one of, again, coming back to the design of things, is amazing. And a lot of people don't know that coming back to the design of by Fabrizio, his wife is also a designer. She designs handbags, and really brilliant.
Yeah, no, he's amazing. He's amazing. So and he's a real gentleman, and he followed up on the prize for the viewers that he's making a unique sketch. So
yeah,
they're doing that. So no, it's an amazing company to work with and an amazing team. And Fabrizio is amazing. I call him the new Gerald Genta. He's too modest to admit. But
I would agree that he's definitely in that caliber of Gerald Genta. He's a brilliant designer.
Yeah, I totally agree. Amazing. So thanks for answering these questions. So Bhanu, where should we take off? The first question, why Flieger? What is it that made you gravitate to that?
Sure. So I think most of the guys, first of all, love Pilot watches because it is simple design. It's nothing complex. It can be as simple as a three-hander watch, just the old Type A Flieger, as they called it. Simple. You got the triangle on the 12 o'clock, and then numbers, and that's it. But even though it's so simple, it's very the way, yeah, exactly. As you're looking in the picture, that's the Stova Flieger. Just the way it conveys. It's handsome. It's easy to wear. It's easy to tell time. It's practical. Everything you'd expect from a watch. As a guy, at least for me, that's why it's perfect.
So maybe a little bit of education to share knowledge. Dala, please pull up the picture again. The triangle with the two dots.
Yeah,
why did they do that historically, Bhanu?
That was for the direction, and you can tell which way it's pointing. So pilot can easily look at, or the navigator, I should say, can easily look with which direction they're going to, which is up, which is down.
Yeah, north. And did you do the research who historically was the first to ever incorporate that into design?
The triangle first was, at least to my knowledge, was done during the war with the German authorities, and they're the ones who designed this feature. So
it's their original design.
Their original design that they requested, correct? It's a specification, we should say, as part of the watch.
Of the specs of producing it. And do you have Pilot watches with broad arrows?
Yes, I do. Broad arrow as well. So, you've got the Dirty Dozen, you've got the broad arrows with that.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, the MOD, Ministry of Defense of the United Kingdom, also obviously needed Pilot watches. and their logo is an arrow, and it's called a broad arrow. And whenever that is on it was back in the day on the dials or the case backs, and they often engraved them with www, which does not stand for World Wide Web. So those are nicknamed broad arrows, and that means that they're property of the MOD. So they were never actually given to pilots, right? Technically, they had to return them.
That's correct. It was the property of the of the military. Yes.
Yeah. And do you have any of the Dirty Dozen?
I have two of them, but I would say that I have not really gotten to the complete broad arrow collection. I would say I'm still stuck in the German, and I'm right now transitioning to more French-based Type 20 watches.
Yeah.
So my research is right now knee-deep into Type 20 watches.
Yeah. So are you happy with the new Longines they launched this year for the French military? The re-edition?
Yes, that was really good. I really like it.
It's funny, huh? The French ones are a bit underrated. They're
exactly.
Understood. It's always German versus UK.
Yeah, and most of people, I think, because of the stories, because of the recognition, people go either gravitate towards Flieger watches from Germany or to the British watches. But French is very underrated, especially for what they created. Yeah, it was based loosely on, or maybe even more than loosely, it was based upon the German Flieger chronographs, the pilot chronographs. But still, Type 20 watches are very underrated. But
so let's talk about Type 20s, often referred to literally in words TYPE, and then two X's, which is Roman numerals for 20. The most famous one, I guess, is the Breguet Type 20.
Exactly.
Is the most famous one?
That's the most famous one, I would say.
But there are many out there.
There are many out there.
So why are they referred to as Type 20, Bhanu?
So Type 20 was a specification that I think that was made by the, again, French military. Exactly, you see the Breguet right there with the big crown. I think that was a special edition they had made for watch only in 2019. Mm-hmm. But it's pretty close to what they recreated there with the Breguet, and I think the closest modern cousin to this is the Breguet 3800 model that's still there, Type XX, and originally.
That's out of production, or is it still in production? Because
it's still in production. It's the 3800 Aero Naval. It's still in production.
Oh, it is still in production.
Yeah.
That is one of my favorite. The original, the vintage is one of my favorite pilot chronographs.
Yeah, there it is. Yes, that's still in production.
I love it.
It's their. I think it's their beginner line, but this is the. Based upon, I think this is 6th or 5th generation of watches for Breguet, and originally when Breguet was its own independent brand, it used to be still called Type 20. The XS was not in the picture at that time, and then after they got bought by Swatch, I think that's when they came up with the 3rd generation of the Breguet Type 20, and they made it into Type XX. Then. This was in late 90s.
And now let's talk about whenever they classify models as Mark. So I think the most famous Mark pilot watches are the IWC ones.
IWC, yeah.
So they started off, I think, at Mark 11. I think that was the first when they started with the sequential numbers.
Yeah.
They went from 11, 12. They skipped the 13.
Yeah.
Because of bad luck. 14, 15. We did see, I think today we're at 18.
We are at 18, yeah.
So why do they call it a Mark for our viewers that don't know?
I want you to tell us that. You are a big IWC fan.
So what I've been taught in Schaffhausen, but it actually comes from the British typography, that Mark is originally brand. A Mark is a brand. But back in the day, before marketing started and we were talking about brands all the time, it was a type. So when Breguet is Type 20, they just is a adjustment to the specifications. That's what I've been told. So you see that in cars. Jaguar has a Mark
Correct.
Type E, Mark E.
It is a type.
That's what I've been told.
It is a type. You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
And
so it's just an iteration and an evolution of a model.
yeah,
Of course, she has the 911, but you have the 996, the 997. So it's a mark, a type.
you're absolutely right. And knowing that IWC was one of the 5 original manufacturers of the Flieger watches, along with Lange, with Vempe, and then of course Stova, Laco. They completed the 5 original. And
You're talking about the B-Urs?
I'm sorry?
About the B-Ur?
About the B-Urs, yes.
Yeah.
This was the original specification with the triangle on the top. And then, of course, IWC had the, being on the Swiss-German border, they also got to make not only the B-Urs for the Germans, but also they made it for the British. So it was. It was.
Yeah, so that's that. So they don't like the brands don't like to talk about this heritage.
Of course.
For me personally, I'm like, dudes, if you are so proud of your heritage, you need to discuss the dirty, the ugly, and the bad.
Exactly.
And the Swiss always pride themselves on being independent.
Yeah.
And objective, and also during wars. And this is actually the proof in the pudding. I believe IWC was the only Swiss that supplied both sides, didn't they?
Yes, they were the only ones who did.
Only English. Omega did only English, I think.
Zenith also only did that.
Yeah. And
Longines did for Czech.
Longines did actually many navals.
Yeah, exactly.
Many naval armies, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. So talking about Longines and pilot watches, what did you think about their new Spirit we discussed last week with Xavier? Or Javier, which is his official name.
Yeah, no, I think I love the Spirit watches. Longines is hitting the right notes for all their watch lines, not just the Spirit. I think really impressed by everything they have been releasing lately. Definitely a company to watch. If not, you've been watching them, you to watch them again for the value they bring. Similar to Hamilton, as you mentioned.
Yeah. So I want you to drop some knowledge for new collectors, new watch buyers, especially the younger viewers we have here and that follow us. And we have many of them, which I'm very grateful for. If somebody gets into watch collecting or specifically wants to buy their first real watch or mechanical watch,
sure,
what would you recommend them, Bhanu?
I'm biased towards somewhat German watches. I think for the value that they bring, a lot of a bang for your buck, as they say. And a case in point is Nomos.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other watch brands for the money they charge under, say, 1,500 euros or 2,000 euros that you get a manufactured movement. Mm-hmm. Everything pretty much designed in house, and really is not thick watch, so it's slim to wear. So I would say for beginners, do your research on what's the quality of the watch and for what you're getting for the watch. And
sorry, I want to jump in. Very two valid points and nuggets of information.
Mm-hmm.
Those that want to do research, and if they're smart enough to watch this show, kudos to them to listen to us. But where should they start besides reading Flieger Friday and Quill Pad? Where would you recommend them to start doing their research? A.
Sure.
And my second question is, it's an A-B question. What if Nomos only starts at 1,000, and let's say their budget is less?
Yeah.
How would you add an advice?
Yeah. So the first question, where do you do your research? There's many things. People use internet. You could go to blogs. You could go to forums like What You Seek. You could go to Facebook. There's groups in Facebook where you could join.
Yeah.
You could go to your local retailer and pick up a book. Go to, I'm sure at Ace, I could walk in and ask them, can you give me a catalog or a book about Nomos or a magazine where I can learn about it. So retailers, online blogs, magazines. You could go, buy Watch Time magazine, or I think in Netherlands you have Watching magazine.
Yeah, correct.
You could go buy Revolution, any of the magazines, and you could learn about different things about there. So you could even go pick up GQ. Nowadays, even in GQ, they have watch sections, so where they discuss watchmaking and give you advice.
Okay. Just to
And
add to that, I want you to drop your 5 favorite blogs, because that's instant satisfaction, free, and you can have that info at your fingertips. Besides Quill Pad and Flieger Friday, obviously.
no, I
And
love
the Age magazine online. Which are your other 5 favorite magazines?
No, I love for online. I love SGX.
Yeah.
I think that's brilliant. Of course, everybody reads Hodinkee because they put out some good content. Not always. I don't have to like everything, but from SGX, I just like almost everything. From Hodinkee, of course, and then Fratello. If you're similar to Flieger Friday, if you're a Speedy Tuesday fan. And which I love. All the guys, just like Pilot Watches, love Speedmasters. So Fratello is the right place to go. And of course, I also like Monochrome. I think if you want to get a straight content, and it's I say the no BS zone. You go to Monochrome and you get that. A really good fan of Bryce as well. I think they do a good job. And yeah, those are my favorite so far.
Amazing. And you just mentioned Speedy watches. This is a question I have for you. Do you consider those Speedy watches Flieger watches, Pilot watches?
They're a genre to themselves. I think just like a Flieger is a genre to itself, I think Speedmasters are such a vast majority of Speedmasters. There's such a different variety of Speedmasters, so they're a genre to themselves.
Do you have a Speedmaster or more?
Yes, I do, and I'll tell you what I like about a Speedmaster. I know this was recently published as a battle of Speedmasters between Snoopy and First Omega in Space, or as we call it, FOIS.
Yeah.
And I love FOIS. I know Robert Jan is not a big fan of it, but I am, and the reason is
we do.
I love the way it fits on my wrist. I think first the sapphire crystal is a positive. If you're a beginner collector for Speedmaster, I would highly recommend looking into FOIS. I think it's
don't recommend that, Bhanu, because Monday they officially announced they're discontinued.
That's so sad.
So don't pain the consumers, but if you have it on your wish list, pull the trigger quickly, because I think stores still have them. I think we have one more left. But they're going out. But you have the most special combination, because I don't think a lot of people have that metal bracelet on.
That's right. Please educate us about the bracelet. I know that I learned it from somebody more knowledgeable than me.
Yeah, so you have the old Speedmaster date, so it's not the current date model.
Yeah.
I think it was the previous generation, and that bracelet fits exactly snug on the case of the FOIS. So you made a combo, and you're a trendsetter, because after you start posting it, everybody wanted that combo.
That's right. A lot of people reached out to me on Instagram and asked me, what bracelet is this? So I just said, okay, I cut and paste your suggestion to me, recommendation, get this bracelet. It fits it perfectly.
Yeah, so amazing. Okay, and we're chatting so much, and I'm interrupting you nonstop. Maybe last question, and then we'll go to the questions of the viewers.
Okay.
Is my question: if your budget is not 1,000, so that eliminates Nomos, what then would you recommend?
So if you're, I can again speak from Pilot Watches perspective. If your budget is not 1,000, I would head a bit below from Glashutte to the Black Forest region,
Yeah.
where you also get some fantastic watches. Black Forest region, the Pforzheim used to be the golden city for a lot of if you look at the even bigger brands like Chopard and everybody, that they're manufacturing a lot of the metals, everything in Pforzheim.
Yeah.
And it's a Black Forest city where a lot of watch brands are based. You have Laco, you have Stova, you have Archimedes, you have close by Hanhart. All of these watch brands make some really good watches that are under $1,000.
Yeah. Good advice. So one little bonus question to that nugget of information and tip. A lot of new collectors are blinded by the I call it the blingness of a brand. So they go for the mainstream. You obviously proven with your collection that you go all over and you're not infatuated by the blingy names. You go really by design, whatever makes your heart tick faster. What is your answer to that, or feedback to that, or advice? Why to look into these brands that you recommend? Call them independents, call them micro brands, or whatever name you want to give them. What would be your advice? Why should they?
Yeah, so the reason I like micro brands, first of all, I think I have Ernie to thank for this, because not a lot of small micro brands and independent brands have voices in the world.
Yeah.
The blinky watches get to have a big marketing budget. They're owned by bigger corporate entities, so they have a big voice, and everybody knows what to wear them. But I like to find the diamond in the rough. I like to find good quality watches that are offered at a good price, and that's what Ernie had. I learned from Ernie. There are a lot of brands out there that provide that.
Nice. So I already see that Ernie is online. He's watching. He's writing to us. I have zillion more questions for you. I think that we should maybe reserve them for season 2. I would love to have you back on the show. If we do, that depends on our viewers if they want us to do season 2. That's something we need to assess at the end of this year. Dala, should we jump into questions? Yeah, he's nodding yes to me. First one. Who would this be?
This is a trick question, Alon. This is a trick question.
So this is a beautiful girl from Austin in Texas, and her name is Eva, and she's asking on Facebook, what's the most meaningful watch for you?
This is a trick question because if I answer a Flieger watch, I think the daddy duties will be on me for next several days. so okay. I will answer. It's the Bulgari Octo.
Okay. Eva, I hope you'll thank him this Thanksgiving. Amazing.
That was a gift from her to me for over 10 years, as I mentioned. So that was very meaningful.
Yeah, amazing. Eva, you're a good wife that you gave him such a beautiful watch. You're as good as Chantal, because she also spoiled me with some watches.
You got a Speedmaster recently.
We have 2 beautiful children.
Yeah.
For our son's birth 4 years ago, she gave me the Moonwatch Pro.
Yeah.
And we engraved his name and date in it. So it's going to be his in 14 years. And then obviously we had a baby girl.
Yeah.
And then what else can she give? It has to match. So I always loved the FOIS, the first time we get in space. It's smaller. And so my wife gave me that one, and we gave our daughter's name and birth date in that. So that's hers in 17 years.
Congratulations. I think that was a perfect gift. She knows you very well. Yeah, FOIS is just perfect.
Yeah, so it's if our Noah doesn't like it, then her brother's lucky he has to. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you, Eva, for sending in a question. Next one, Dala. Kentaro-san. He's part of the Watch 4 crew, Dutch crew of watch collectors.
Yeah.
He asks on YouTube, is there a watch that you still look to obtain? like a Grail watch? Good question.
There's a Flieger Grail for me, and then there is, I would say, a normal Grail. I think for
It's funny, you have two categories.
two categories always. It's always parallel.
Okay.
For Flieger Grail, I think I would love to get a vintage Breguet Type XX or Type 20 for vintage. I think that'll be a very that's a Grail watch. I think a lot of collectors look for it. There's collectors online, even on Instagram, that collect Breguet Type 20s. That I got to know one of them. Just brilliant watches for what they created. And then for my normal, I would say I have a Lange in mind that I would like to collect someday, and the Zeitwerk, and that's a Grail.
Do you consider Lange the king of Germany? A. Lange and Söhne for those watches that, because there's another Lange watchmaker in Germany.
Yeah, Lange and high-end, yeah. But Marco Lange has left Lange high-end now, but yeah, Lange Zone is I would say, king of watchmaking for Germany. They're all right next to each other. Lange is there, Glashutte original right next door, across almost to Tima.
So a quick question in between. What do you think of Moritz Grossmann? Talking about high-end Glashutte watch brands.
Maurice Grossmann is an interesting brand. I think technically they are one of very impressive. But for some odd reason, I think it has never caught on, so to speak, like other watch brands from Glashutte.
No, it's a pity because it's an amazing brand.
Especially their Bhanu. I love their just fantastic watches. You have to try them on in person and to realize the quality.
Yeah, it's amazing. And one of my favorites from Germany, besides Nomos, is Dornblut.
Absolutely.
You have one?
I do. I not only have one. I visited them last year again, and I love Dirk Dornblut. I think one of the most, if you talk about humble people and brilliant watchmaking. When you enter Dornblut and you enter there, there's my 99.1.
I love that one.
I love this watch. I got this watch several years ago. And when you enter their small, it's in a small village. Actually, it doesn't even. I remember there was no restaurants around. There's no hotels. Nothing. It's a small village. You walk inside their atelier, their workshop, and it feels like you walked into, something pre-modern era. And there's no computers. There's no CNC machines. There's there's Kalbit. That's the town. That's the big clock outside that Dirk works on. You see from out there.
Yeah. Funny story. Dale used to work at a retailer in Amsterdam before he joined Team Ace. And he was actually the one that showed me Dornblut because they were retailing it. So it's ever since been on my mind, that brand. Are they manufacturer?
They are now a manufacturer. They used to, they still use the Bosches from Unidas movement.
Yeah.
But I would say the amount of modifications to do to that Bosch is almost unrecognizable to where it's I would say is their caliber, but they also have their own caliber now.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, thank you. Dale, next question. There is our buddy Ernie. He writes on YouTube, "Hi Bhanu, nice hearing you talking about watches and especially the Flieger watches. Curious to find out why your focus changed from German to France watches."
I wouldn't say, Ernie, thank you for the question, by the way, and for watching. I would say that it wasn't a focus change, but it was an addition to German watches. So
evolution.
It's an evolution where just like German, the Type 20 watches came from inspiration from Hanhart and Tutima Flieger chronographs. So it's just an evolution of in addition to that, there's Type 20s. And I think they're very underrated for now for collectors. Could be big.
Yeah, amazing. He's on fire. Second question. Ernie asks, and talking about the Type 20, did you already get to see the new Arian?
Yeah, Airain. So Airain, they used to be a French brand. Now they are resurrected again, as you can see on the screen. That they do what they call a crowdsourcing. So they fund it not through. They have investors who can be anybody, you or me. Unfortunately, I couldn't invest in this because the US is not allowed to participate in this. This is only for outside of US. And they've recreated the Type 20 from the original brand. And of course, it's they did a very good job, including the size of the watch is pretty reasonable.
It's amazing. Cool. Thanks for sharing, Ernie and Bhanu, about this project.
And see, this is what I'm talking about. Ernie brings you that perspective of, a brand you have not heard to the front.
He's amazing. He's amazing. We love Ernie. Another one. And what's your most recent purchase? Good question, Ernie.
The most recent purchase is right here on my wrist. This is something I just picked up in September. Is the Kudoke. So I think this was the most unique Flieger I own, I would say, in my entire collection.
Amazing. I see we have 4 minutes left. Should we do one quick one? One more? Dala, should we do one last more? He's nodding yes. He's looking through you sparked a lot of questions, Bhanu. Definitely need to do another one. All right, this is the king of comments and questions. Watch for Rocky. This is Rocky from the Watch 4 crew. What is your first serious watch you started with in your collection? He asks on YouTube, and he adds a comment. I love your Octo Finissimo, by the way. He shares our mutual passion for that, by the way.
Oh, that thank you for the compliment. I think I love Octo as well. As Eva made me say it on the show, that it's my favorite, our most prized watch. And I would say my first serious watch, the definition of serious depends. For me, what I could afford at the time, the first serious watch was a Stowa Flieger. That was my first serious watch. Cool. Now, if you're talking about haute horology, if you're talking about something more than that, then it goes to again another independent brand. I love Peter Speak Marine, and before unfortunately he left the brand, and I love collecting his watches as well. So I would say that was my first serious brand
cool.
that I collected.
Awesome, thank you so much for sharing, Bhanu. This was amazing. Next week we are jumping back to the jewelry, and we have a rock star guest, Caroline Gaspard. She's the founder of Achilles, and she's a rock chick. So she makes jewelry for men as well. So men also tune in next week. Bhanu, I wanted to thank you very, very much for taking the time to sit with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, and send my love to your lovely ladies, and I hope to meet you in person again, either in Switzerland, Prague, or Germany, or Holland.
Next year.
Next year, definitely.
Thank you for having me on.
Happy Thanksgiving, and thank you.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye.